With shared experience, confidence grows, and the path becomes clear. It takes time, patience, and love. But the reward lasts a lifetime.
Hey, good girl, Bella.
You don't just raise a puppy. You raise a future. Become a Dogs Inc. puppy raiser. Give a dog a purpose. Give someone hope.
Learn more at dogsinc.org.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Welcome to Choose Views with Richard Chew. Get ready to dive into a world of insightful conversations and thought-provoking discussions.
As progressives, our job is to have an all-inclusive, full-on assault with all of our players.
A show that focuses on moving our political, social, economic, gender, and cultural conversation forward.
And all of our players means all of our players.
It's Choose Views. And now, here's your host, Richard Chew.
Good Wednesday morning, political fighters. Welcome to the August 5th, 2026 edition of Choose Views, 773-763-9278. Find my show on Facebook Live, TuneIn Radio, and YouTube, and email me at richard@wcpt820.com. And, of course, follow me on all the socials under Choose Views. Catch all of our shows by subscribing to our WCPT podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. There you can get Choose Views featured interviews, Joan Esposito, live local and progressive, Patty Vasquez, Driving It Home, and, of course, Edwin Eisendrath with his wonderful show, It's a Democracy, Stupid. Out Chicago and our other great shows and interviews, and also in the evenings, as we say, make sure you hang around to check out the Politics Bar, the Matt McNeil Show, and the Gailey Show. At Heartland Signal, we've got a couple of quick newbies. Speaking of the Gailey Show, really good conversation that John Parker had that you guys can dial into, talking with Minnesota's 2nd Congressional District candidate. And that's a good one for you guys, talking about 314 Action Fund. And then a quote from, or I should say a post and clip that was covering U.S. Representative Raja Krishnamurthy saying that Trump administration, the cuts to renewable energy are directly helping Iran, saying there's now widespread chaos. He calls for an end to the fighting. There's no military resolution to this whatsoever. At this point, the military solution, I agree. We can't bomb ourselves out of, this situation. And ground troops is not an option. It's just not, especially when we've got, it broke my heart. I saw this family yesterday. One of the soldiers who was killed, their casket was on the tarmac, and I believe it was the daughter was the first to walk up to the casket and just broke down. Just broke down, y'all. If you haven't seen it, and if you need any motivation to get out and vote, if you need any motivation to call your senators and your representatives, watch that clip of this family, this daughter having to go, and she just broke down on her father's casket. And then the mother, and I believe it was her brother. This war in Iran is not about us doing anything that's preserving life. It's just not. It's not about helping everyday Americans in any way at all. And so, I could go on, but I know we got to stay on track today, as always. But to Krishnamurthy's point, there is no military solution right now. And troops on the ground just is not an option. So the third would be diplomacy. But the people that we have at the table, they don't know what the hell they're doing. And they pissed off the folks, the leaders in Iran so badly that part of the reason that we keep backsliding is because they're tired of talking to us. They're tired of having Trump or Vance or Rubio or whomever, Jared Kushner, roll in and basically tell them what's going to happen versus find a way to get out of this terrible quagmire. But, you know, he just couldn't leave the JCPOA alone. He just couldn't leave what the previous administrations had done, Obama and Biden, because he's such an idiot. He's such a disgusting president. I'm not going to make it personal about him. His work, his actions are idiotic. His presidency is a failure. There's nothing successful. The only thing that he succeeded at is making more money for himself and the people around him. He's not succeeded at helping. The most dogged MAGA person is suffering financially right now because you could be spending less per month. But if you don't have the courage or the self-awareness to acknowledge and admit that, that's on you. And later in the show, I'm going to talk a little bit about this as it relates to Democrats and Republicans and independents. So let me kind of move on so I can tell you what's happening with today's show. Because that seeing that daughter walk to that casket is going to stick with me for a while. That should not happen. And I don't care when people say, well, they signed up to... They didn't sign up for stupidity. So... on today's show, in the 6:30 hour, William Hazelgrove will be with us, and he's going to talk about yet another stupid thing that took place, and this is the tragedy that took place down in Texas. If you guys remember the Camp Mystic flood, William's going to be with us today. Couldn't be with us last week, had some things pop up, but we grabbed him for this week, so he should be rolling in around 6:30. And looking forward to chatting with him about that. And then, of course, at 7 o'clock, our good friend Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63 will be joining us. In the 7:30 hour, Henry's going to open up the lines in a little bit, but in the 7:30 hour, I'm specifically going to want to take your calls because of what a question of the day and what my something to chew on we'll talk about. And I want to talk with you guys a little bit about that. So get your notebooks ready, get your questions ready so we can talk. In the 7:30 hour, our lines will be open and we can go for it. And we got a couple clips that are going to kind of land in the conversation about where we are. So there you go. That's who's going to be with us today. Our question of the day has to do with a topic that we are all paying attention to right now, and that is our primary elections. So now that the Michigan primary is essentially over, or we have a pretty good idea of which direction we're going with the race there in Michigan, do you guys think that Dr. Syed is capable of winning against Mike Rogers? So the question of the day, now that the Michigan primary is over, do you think that Dr. Syed will be able to beat Mike Rogers in the general election? It looks as though those numbers show that he is about a 6-point winner, if I'm looking at this correctly. So that's the question of the day. I want to hear what you guys have to say about that. Anytime in the show, give us a holler, and we'll talk about it as we'll get you squeezed in. But most definitely in the 7:30 hour, we're going to be taking your call specifically to talk about that and my topic of the day on my segment of something to chew on. So there you go. But I do want to come back to something that, actually, I want to say something about this war in Iran. Oftentimes, when presidents are when they're struggling, they find a way to say that we need to, be at war, or we need to go and attack somebody. And if you ever wonder why our military is so bloated in terms of the budget, it's not because we are necessarily trying to do the right thing and take democracy to another country. It's because we spend so much money essentially protecting ourselves from what other countries might want to do to us because of us always encroaching upon them. That's the conversation that we need to have more and more when it comes down to our military. And no matter how much money we spend and how much we quote unquote try to invest in our military, we can't prevent tragedies from happening like we saw with this family that had to bury their father, their brother, and their husband. We don't have enough money to protect our soldiers from that. maybe we should just stop bullying people. Maybe we should just stop, launching these wars of choice. Maybe just stop doing that. And we wouldn't have to have such a buildup of a military that ultimately has to be rebuilt up when we go to a stupid A war like we're in right now. Because frankly, if you listen to the military experts, retired, serving members of the military and all the rest, they're saying that we've depleted our much of our arsenal in terms of what we thought we could use or what they thought they could use. Trump and his sycophants could use. And it's not working. So we're wasting money. I mean, this is the guy, America. This is the guy that is perpetually in waste money mode. And, crashing the business that he's running. And we should all be willing to stand up and say he's not going to crash the American business. He's working at it. He's working real hard at it. So this war is it's a thing that we're in now, and one of the ways to help us get out of it is to make sure that we elect the people that are going to vote the right way. And I want to talk about that in my segment in a bit. But we're going to take a quick break. The number is 773-763-9278. I'm Richard Chew. Keep it locked in. We'll be right back with more of Chew's Views.
Here's a tale of Becky. Didn't know what to do with new meds prescribed and no real cost clue.
She squinted at prices, that can't be right. Then tapped GoodRx and saw the light.
She could get a deal. Book telehealth if she feel.
Learn about those meds without any stress. That one little app does all the rest. Even my horse downloaded it. Dang, save time and money on prescriptions.
Check GoodRx. GoodRx is not insurance.
This is WCPT 820. Listen in Chicago on 820 AM or stream us live on WCPT820.com, the TuneIn Radio app, or tell Alexa or Google to play WCPT. This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
All right, guys, welcome back to Chew's Views. If you're just tuning in, I'm Richard Chew, and thanks for being with us. Again, the question for the day is, now that the Michigan primary is over, do you think that Dr. Syed will be able to beat Mike Rogers in the general election? I'm going to talk about that from a different perspective in a minute. But right now, Henry, let's hit him with a couple of quick Chew's Views news items on this August 5th, 2026. Whole Foods is working to ditch, quote, the whole paycheck reputation. Amazon Whole Foods is on a mission to put its whole paycheck reputation to bed once and for all. According to Bloomberg, has made inroads in expanding its 365 and Whole Foods branded products to north of 4,000 items, but it still has work to do to compete on price. Bloomberg notes it's on a good trajectory, though, and managing inflation may be another part of its challenge when it comes to their lower-cost competitors. Its average unit price has gone up 29% since 2019, compared to 36% at Walmart and 38% at Kroger. So there you go. AstraZeneca explores the merger with Bristol-Myers Squibb. Why is this important? Because so many people do utilize these pharmaceuticals. AstraZeneca shares sharply fell on late Monday following news that it had entered talks over a potential acquisition of Bristol-Myers Squibb, according to the Financial Times and Bloomberg. They both reported this, and the value nearly at $400 billion. The blockbuster deal would create one of the world's largest pharmaceutical companies and help the UK-based AstraZeneca expand its U.S. presence. While talks remain in early stages, a tie-up could face significant political and regulatory hurdles. Yeah, we got to pay attention to that one. This consolidation is not one of my favorite things to see. Top 50 colleges for career success. Princeton leads For the second year in a row, according to LinkedIn's top college list, a data-backed ranking of the 50 U.S. colleges that best set up graduates for long-term career success. Amid steep tuition prices and more questions on the value of a college degree, this list offers a data-driven look at the schools giving their alumni a strong start in today's job market. Last but not least, MLB contenders are making a flurry of deals before the trade deadline. The Red Sox, the Phillies, the Dodgers are among the winners. And in Major League Baseball's trade deadline, they passed the frenzy of activity back and forth. Excuse me. The Red Sox acquired three-time All-Star catcher Adley Rutschman and from the Orioles, and to add to their offensive and lineup and leadership, one of the game's most surprising contenders. The Phillies struck for batting champ Luis Arias in a trade with the Giants that solidifies their infield. And the Dodgers could stand pat because on Saturday, they acquired the best player on the market, Tigers Cy Young pitcher winner, Tarek Skubal. So there you go. A little bit of baseball for you folks who are paying attention as we get closer to the fall madness of baseball. There you go, guys. A couple of quick Choose Views news items on this August 5th, 2026. For those who are listening to WCPT, today on Live Local and Progressive, Joan Esposito will be taking your calls and then talking to Joyce Vance, legal commentator and co-host of Sisters-in-Law, the podcast, and author of Giving Up is Unforgivable, a manual for keeping a democracy. Ben Wickler, former chair of the Wisconsin Democratic Party and author of the new book, This is the Plan, How to End America's Meltdown and Save Democracy. John King, editor-in-chief for Michigan Advance, to recap last night's primary election. And Abby Vasulis, national politics reporter at Mother Jones. She'll discuss her recent reporting on Ohio Congressman Max Miller. That's weekdays here, 2 to 5, Live Local Progressive with Joan Esposito on WCPT, heartlandsignal.com, and tune in. And for our listeners tonight, driving it home, Patty Vasquez will be joined by guest co-host Ken Mejia Beal, and their guests are Chicago muralist Amaz and Malachi Wright, and Jared Plogger, Democratic candidate for Illinois State Senate. That's Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez, weekdays 5 to 7 here on WCPT, Heartland Signal website, TuneIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Tomorrow on Choose Views, my guests include Lisa Song, reporter at ProPublica. Her latest article on how Trump's America First administration could shut U.S. scientists out of the next Nobel-worthy discovery, and Anthony Chacha, CEO and secretary of 46 Brooklyn, a nonprofit working to improve the accessibility and usability of the U.S. drug pricing data. And then on Friday, my guest will be, of course, Karen Byrne from True Blue Politics Podcast. And yes, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson will be hanging out with us for our first Friday of the month conversation. So there you go, guys. We'll bring you some more reminders of this later in the show. All right. So my question of the day was around, now that the Michigan primary is over, do you guys think that Dr. Saeed can beat Mike Rogers in the general? Okay. So I'm going to do my best to keep this as tight as I can in this, because that's my question of the day. My answer to that question is absolutely hell yeah. But I'm going to talk about something that, in terms of conversations that I've been listening to for the last few weeks, is an item that we need to really pay attention to. So today's segment of Something to Chew On. The core idea of electability has become a conversation that we just seem to not be able to get away from. The DSA, the progressive left, the middle left, the moderate left. You know, who's electable? Which person is the better candidate? I look at it like this, and this is my balance. Electability versus a better candidate. Now, those two don't necessarily have to be separate, but oftentimes we get caught up in the conversation around electability versus the better candidate. So what is it that the better candidate really is? The better candidate, in my mind, is someone that has the better ideas, that is talking to the voters that are going to get him or her elected, he or she elected. It is the person that is being very transparent, very honest, all the things that we would probably want to see in ourselves as making us a better candidate because we have better ideas, okay? And we're doing things that reach the largest number of people. Now, sometimes that makes the person the more electable person. But in our world right now, what I see electability has boiled down to is, does a person fit a certain narrative? Does a person look a certain way? Is the person from a particular gender? Is a person sit in a certain religious spot? Does that person have the right, we'll call it lineage, background? That's, to me, how electability has been defined. And it's been put in sort of this box that's supposedly a reflection of what people think you want them to vote for. So how I put this together is so electability forces voters to choose based on how they think other people will vote. Think about that. Rather than their own values. What's that person going to do? And when you think about the polling, and oftentimes when you think about questions that are asked of candidates by journalists, they often come from a position of, do you think that? And they fill in the blanks with something along those lines that oftentimes are demographic electability items versus, as I said earlier, the better candidate with better choices. Okay? So what seems to be happening now is that this conversation around the, quote, democratic socialist versus the middle, versus the left, the progressive, the middle left, and the moderate left is all based on something, to me, that's really simple and obvious and very overt. And that is, does a person fit the right race, culture, or gender? And then we can build a subset of items below that. And for me, it doesn't matter. And I come from the vantage point of looking at substance versus who's the pretty person, who's the good-looking person, who's the one that, is what, we've sort of labeled. And you guys heard me say this a few weeks ago about, what's electable, what makes the person in Maine have to be of a certain type of, background and have the workman's shirt and the certain cap on. Where does that come from? If that person doesn't have the better ideas, then they shouldn't be the one that's more electable. So let me bring this home as best I can. Character and authenticity, I think, is what has helped so many candidates win in this last cycle since the 2024 election, is character and authenticity, and having ideas that are as the best ideas for the largest number of people. That's what I'm seeing is happening. Dr. Syed has had the question asked of him so many times, and so many people have tried to take the pragmatic approach that Haley Stevens was going to be better to beat Mike Rogers. And let's just be honest, guys. The primary reason for that is not because she's white, but it's because Dr. Syed is Muslim. And is Michigan going to vote for a Muslim man to represent them as a U.S. senator? That's what it really comes down to. That's the question that a lot of people try to skirt around by asking, is he electable? Does he have the electability, book signed up and ready to go? I think it's about ideas. And I think Mike Rogers is going to be a rubber stamp for Donald Trump. So the voters in Michigan get to decide, and we get to help them beat Mike Rogers. That's ultimately what has to be our goal, is to beat Mike Rogers. And if Dr. Syed, who seems to be saying the things that the voters need to hear, can do that, then let's get behind him and help him do it. The number is 773-763-9278. I'm Richard Chu. Keep it locked in. We'll be right back with more of Chu's Views.
Progressive knows you've got plenty of things to worry about.
What time
time does the kids' practice end? How long has that check engine light been on? Are takeout containers microwave safe?
So the last thing you should have to worry about is what to do if something unexpected happens on the road. That's why if you're ever in a major accident, Progressive's accident response can detect it and send help. It's just one less thing to worry about.
How long does chicken last in the fridge?
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Limited availability in California. Driver is responsible for emergency and towing charges not covered by the policy.
It's 4 a.m., Monday, and you're literally sucking baby snot through a tube because she's congested. Man, that's love. And if you love her that much, love her enough to make sure she's buckled in the right car seat. To make sure your child's in the right seat for their age and size, visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Show them you love them. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Real talent is defined by what people can do, not where they learn to do it. So by stopping at the education section of a resume, you might throw away the perfect hire. You might miss someone who has valuable skills to offer to help your business thrive right now and in the future. Because the truth is this: Skills First Hiring helps you see talent others miss, like more than 70 million stars, skilled through alternative routes. When you let their story unfold, you gain a competitive advantage, because hiring managers who start with skills are 60% more likely to find a successful hire. See the real person, complete. See what others miss. Hire skills first. Learn why it's a competitive advantage at tearthepaperceiling.org. Brought to you by Opportunity at Work and the Ad Council.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Michael Caro. For today, we'll have mostly cloudy skies, along with a chance for some showers and storms developing, high temperatures into the lower 80s. Showers and storms then likely tonight, a low of 67. For Thursday, any lingering showers ending early on, gradually clearing skies into the afternoon with upper 70s for highs. Friday, partly sunny, working up to 83. And that's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently, 74.
You're listening to WCPT 820, because facts matter.
All right, guys, welcome back to Choose Views. If you are just tuning in, I am Richard Chu. Thanks for being with us this morning. Our first guest today is an author that's been with us before, and he and I had a fun time talking about why Geraldo just couldn't find anything in Capone's vault. And William and I tried to help out. We were young cats at that time. We were like, hey, man, look over here, look over there. Maybe it's down the hall. Dig a little bit further in. You might I'm just playing. But William Hazelgrove has been with us before. Back in the spring, he was talking about his book, Capone's Vault. And me being a Chicagoan can really appreciate that work. And but his prowess as a writer extends beyond that, by all means, and the work that he's done in the past. And most recently, A Story of Tragedy and Heroism, Camp Mystic Flood. This was a heartbreaking situation. I think one of the toughest things about when someone passes away is that if you don't get to say goodbye to them, if you don't get to see their body again, that's, to me, would be the hardest thing. Is to not be able to see them one last time, even though they have passed away. And when I think about what happened with this flood last summer, that part is what got to me as much as anything. Good morning, William. Welcome back to Choose Views.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I take it that you've been doing well.
Yeah, just finished the book, sent it off. As you probably know, when you finish a book, you're like, wow, now what?
I know that is exactly right. When you finish a project like that and that you put so much time into, it's like, okay, now what do I do? So it's one of the things that I've said to clients of mine in my time as a financial advisor as they are approaching retirement. Know what your now what is going to be, so that when you hit the brakes and you put it in park and put the safety brake on and you're done with work, that you have your next. And that next may oftentimes be doing nothing but relaxing and enjoying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there you go.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, man, talk to us about the book. I mean, as I said a moment ago, my heart breaks for the families that did not get to see their loved ones in this tragedy. They didn't get to have that service where they had a funeral and they could, you know what I'm trying to say. But talk to us about the book and all the experiences that it brought you.
Yeah, sure. So I read about it in the New York Times. This Christian camp, Story Camp, 1926. LBJ's kids went there, Bush's. This is the 1% of Texas. This is Texas royalty goes there. It's a 6-year waiting list. It gets hit with a 1,000-year flood the night of July the 3rd into the 4th, holiday weekend. The Guadalupe River is this massive mecca for people in Texas to go to. And I went down there for research, and I was like, wow, this little river? Well, this little river on that night, and just for your listeners, this is called Flash Flood Alley. And it's because it's all slate in that area. The water came down 1 billion gallons. It rose up 37.5 feet within hours and hit this camp that, again, it had been there since 1926. It endured 3 floods prior and washed away 27 girls. And the owner of the camp, Dick Eastland. So when I went down to research it, I rode around with a first responder and his cadaver dog, Abby, up and down the river. We went to the camp. It's really hit me. It's really a Greek tragedy of epic proportions, because here's this camp that's just had this storied past, and then gets hit with this 1,000-year flood, and just this horrible tragedy happens. But also, like the book A Perfect Storm, which I'm modeling my book on, there's all these other stories up and down the Guadalupe River of people who were hit. And so I interviewed them. I talked to people associated with Camp Mystic. Basically as many people as I could talk to, I did, and then put it into a narrative, which is the Camp Mystic Flood, a story of tragedy and heroism.
Yeah, and talk about the heroism in this, because many of us were left at the time, and still to a great extent, with the death toll and how it how it happened. But talk a little bit about the heroism and the things that you saw in that space.
Absolutely. So basically what had happened on that night is they get a 1:14 a.m. weather alert saying flash flood's coming. Now, Dick Eastland had been through this before. He is the man in charge. He's the Captain Smith of the Titanic. And so he gets this notice, and he doesn't take any action yet. Why? Because he's been through this before. He has all these girls, 8, 9-year-olds, in all these different camps. And so for the next hour and 45 minutes, he's sort of back and forth of what if he should evacuate or not. Now, it starts to get more complicated. The counselors are only 18 years old, and their flood protocol is one of stay in the cabin until you're notified. So they're told, it's in writing, stay in the cabin. Well, as this river rises up, and there's another river called Cypress Creek that hits it. So this is going to create a tsunami when these two rivers rise up. And, as one guy said, it was a 37-foot black wall of death coming at you. So the big controversy is Dick Eastland waited till 3 a.m. and, before he starts evacuating these girls.
So this is an hour and a half plus at this point.
Hour 45 minutes,
okay.
Right, exactly. So he's essentially done nothing, and he decides, okay, I better start evacuating. Well, now this river's rising, and I mean rising fast. And so he gets three cabins out, and he's going back for more. Meanwhile, these girls are literally in cabins that are filling up with water. And so it comes down to counselors having to make life and death decisions. These are 18-year-old girls, all right, who are these counselors, of what to do. Do I stay or do I evacuate? Some evacuate. Some take the girls out. Now there's a cabin called Bubble Inn. Bubble Inn has 13 girls, 2 counselors. Dick Eastland makes a run for it. He realizes at this point, he's in a Chevy Tahoe, that this river is rising just fast. He goes down to Bubble Inn, loads all the girls into his Tahoe, and starts driving for higher ground. The river grabs the Tahoe, and I did a lot of research on what happens because so many people got washed away in their cars and RVs. Basically, what happens to your car is the tires act like rafts, it floats up, and you're still driving, thinking, okay, you're turning your wheel, pressing your accelerator. Suddenly, that has no effect, and the car starts to turn, in the current. And this is what happened to Dick Eastland's car. And then the river just grabbed it and took it away, and nobody survived out of that cabin. This is one of the great mysteries of the Camp Mystic flood, is that Dick Eastland went down to that cabin at about 3:30 a.m. and at 3:51 his Apple Watch went underwater. And the question is, what happened at 21 minutes? It was a huge investigation, and they only found 3 girls in that truck with Dick Eastland. What happened to the other girls? Where did they go? And again, from my research, I found three girls who, 3 counselors who actually saw what was going on from a distance. And they saw Dick loading the girls in. They saw him in the Tahoe, and then they saw the river take the Tahoe and start turn it in circles and take it off. So this is a moment, Dick Eastland, he's 50 years owner of this camp. He takes a Hail's Mary to save his girls. It doesn't work out. But these individual counselors then have to take matters into their own hands and evacuate these girls, and they're marching up the hill as water's coming down on them. They're making a run for it. They're putting girls on mattresses. There was one cabin called Wiggle Inn. And Wiggle Inn, there's a security guard named Glenn Janke. He ends up in this cabin. And again, because the confluence of these 2 rivers hitting created almost like a toilet bowl swirl around the cabins, and it would suck people out of them. He ends up keeping these girls in there all night with all these fire ants that are on the water, and tarantulas, because that's what's there down in Texas, and swirling around. And he fights for the entire night to keep them all in the cabin, and they all survive. And then another cabin called Twins One, Edward Eastland, Dick's son, he's trying to keep the girls into the cabin, but the water's rising up, and these cabins, some had vaulted ceilings, some didn't. So think about this, Richard. You're in an aquarium, and the water's going up to the top. So you've got breathing space of a few inches at best. So what happens? The counselors start putting the girls onto these mattresses and shoving them out the window into the river, thinking they've got a better chance then. And then they go down the river. And I mean, when I say down the river, some girls go down the river 20 miles, okay? And they end up in trees, they end up these big debris piles. It's just one story after another. And this is what I found is these individual. There's one girl named Devlin Smith. Now, she wasn't at Camp Mystic. She was at a RV park campground in Kerrville. Her family gets washed away. They're tent camping. She ends up riding that river for 20 miles and survives to tell the tale. They find her 30 feet up in a tree. A guy named Jeter is having his coffee in the morning. He hears this cry for help. And it's this girl who started 20 miles up and went down. And she said later, she said, I thought I died so many times I lost count. Because, you just go under and you pop up. So this is the story again I endeavored to tell. I tell the rescue of the helicopter rescue, which is the biggest in Texas history. All these RV parks, also cottages up and down the river. Amazingly, there was a cottage, a guy named Aaron Priestley. Now, he's the editor for Texas Monthly. He and his family are in there. And this thing's on 15-foot stilts. I saw it when I went down there. I saw the stilts because the vacation was washed away. But, this thing floats up. They've got 9 people in this for family weekend, holiday weekend. It floats up and then just rips in two. And he suddenly finds himself, in the water with his entire family. And the house is gone.
Wow.
Gone. And so these are some of the stories
Oh, I can only imagine, and as all of our listeners can, and it just you're telling a story that happened. This is not something that somebody sat and wrote, but this is a real thing that happened, an unfortunate tragedy to these families. Well, we're going to take a quick break, William. When we come back, I want to talk about what I'm going to call the other side of this, and that's the responsibility side, and that's the, all the pieces of this that make it preventable and all the other things that I think people are curious about. The number is 773-763-9278. I'm Richard Chu. Keep it locked in. We'll be right back with more Chu's Views. We'll be right back.
Everyone needs to take care of their mental health, even running back Bijan Robinson.
When I'm on the field and feeling the pressure, I usually just take a deep breath. When I'm just breathing and seeing what's in front of me, everything just slows down. It just makes me feel great before I run the play.
Just like Bijan, we all need a strong mental game on and off the field. Make a game plan for your mental health at loveyourmindplaybook.org.
Love your mind.
Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Foundation, the Arthur M. Blank Family Foundation, and the Ad Council.
Light at the end of the tunnel.
Light at the end of this tunnel.
That light at the end of the tunnel. Your guiding light.
That light is going to get brighter and brighter.
Through another day.
I think it's a great day.
The Joan Esposito Show. Live, local, and progressive. Weekday afternoons at 2 on WCPT 820.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
All right, guys, welcome back to Chu's Views. If you are just tuning in, I'm Richard Chu. Thanks for being with us. We're talking with William Hazelgrove, author of the latest book, Camp Mystic. William, I guess the question, how I want to ask this question is, it ties to the environment. It ties to, this has happened before, but Texas has had some issues in recent years, whether it's their power grid in the wintertime or in the summer, in the intense heat of the summer. And this has happened. They've had some issues with their roadways. Texas has got some issues when it comes to how they're navigating and managing a lot of their social resources. And preparedness seems to be an area that when these tragedies happen, it shows that they weren't really prepared. And whether it be in the wintertime when they've had these ice storms and had power outages, or in the summertime when they've had extreme heat, and now with this tragedy, preparedness and evacuation and readiness seems to have been at the core, at the baseline of why this actually happened. I mean, obviously, Eastland waited an hour and 45 minutes, and that could have been the change. But let's take the other people who, what was the, talk about that part in terms of the preparedness and knowing, because of the 32, 84, and 87, it's happened before.
Right, exactly. So it's a strange story with the Guadalupe River. They had a terrible flood there in 87 where 10 people died. So after that, Dick Eastland, got to give him credit, he petitioned and he went to the Guadalupe River Board and said, hey, we need these warning systems. So what is a warning system? It's gauges that float up and say, hey, the river's rising, send off a wireless signal to the Weather Bureau, to everybody else, and say, do something. It's coming up. Now, let's talk about the Weather Bureau real fast. They had taken Doge hits, all right? Mm. And one of the things is they got rid of a guy who is basically the outreach meteorological officer of the San Antonio Weather Bureau. And it's his job to take that forecast that they've come up with and
disseminate it,
put it to the right people, get it out to the police, the first responders, whoever. Well, Doge comes in, and says, hey, you want to retire? And, basically he takes his retirement package and leaves, and they don't hire anybody else. And this had happened all through the Weather Bureau. There had been cuts. So right down to the balloons they send up. Okay, they send up these balloons, go up, the atmosphere pops them, they come back down with their information on a little parachute, and that tells us what's coming. Those two have been cut. So there's that. There was cuts there at the front line. So the information coming down. Dick Eastland petitions to get a warning system. The warning system goes in, but then it falls into disrepair. the state of Texas, Kirk County and stuff, they fight it out. They're like, we need money to do this, and they're like, no, we don't want to do this. We're not going to spend that money. And this is, state politics. This is national politics.
And ultimately, in the state of Texas, this lands in the governor's lap because he, as a final sign-off on the actual allocation, the implementation of the funding, or what's the word I want to use? Advocating for those areas that don't get federal funding because of the cuts, that they're shored up by the state. And he chose not to do that.
Yeah, that's right. And also, too, you had people on the local board who said, we don't want these, as to quote one member of the board, we don't want these damn sirens going off in the middle of the night. Well, people would have killed for those damn sirens, at that point. And it gets even more complicated because they did take money from the government, from the Biden administration, but they spent it on a communication system, radio system, that actually faltered on this night because it wasn't synced with the other radio communication. So again, the Guadalupe River was sort of shortchanged. So when this flood happened, they didn't have the real-time data come in. Now, the defense to that is, and I've talked to a lot of people who are locals there, is that, hey, this is a 1,000-year flood. You could have been a Navy SEAL and not stopped this thing. And there is a lot to that. I mean, it was this once-in-a-century inland tsunami, and if you look at the videos of this thing, it's a monster. In the book, I call it the beast, because it just took 100-year-old trees and tossed them, trucks tossed them, houses, and just cleared out the area. I mean, when I went down there, it was just it looked like somebody put a superhighway right through the middle forest where there was nothing left at all. So there is that, but saying that too, it comes down to this sort of perfect storm of the Weather Bureau cuts, the inactivity of the local government to do something. Also, the emergency coordinator of Kerrville had gotten sick and gone to bed. All right. So he went to bed, and then Judge Kelly, who's the second in charge, he was off at his lake house.
Right. I remember hearing about that.
Again, yeah, right. And the name comes to me now. Paul Yerba was the guy who took the early retirement, who was the guy to disseminate this information. Then there's Tatum, the Texas Department of Emergency Management. They saw this thing coming. They put out all sorts of warnings.
How long in advance, William?
They saw it coming on July 2nd, July 3rd. This storm came from Tropical Storm Barry. Okay, so Tropical Storm Barry starts off the coast of Africa, moves over the Gulf of Mexico, scoops up all this water, and basically becomes just this big water tank. Then it went over the Texas Hill Country, which is called Flash Flood Alley.
Right.
And then hovers and dumps billions and billions of gallons of water.
A moving storm is less damaging than a storm that pauses, as we saw with Katrina.
Exactly. So you just had this again. I hate to go back to the analogy, but in a sense, it was a perfect storm in terms of the holiday weekend, the lack of data from the river, the no warning system, the manager who goes to sleep, the emergency manager who's gone. The
retirement. But this is the part where I'm finger pointing a little bit, and I know that you tried hard as hell not to do this in your research because you wanted to get information, you wanted to get facts, and then be able to report on it. But ultimately, this is that moment of what lessons did we not learn in comparison to the ones that we should be learning going forward? Because if we think about a storm that's moving in a direction, we know it's coming. We know that there's a probability that there could be some serious damage, and if not, God forbid, lives lost. And so when we merge that up against, there was information, there was data, but then there weren't people there to kind of receive it and use it. That just makes the situation even worse because the weather, unless we're looking at the environment, wasn't going to be preventable. Right. The weather that happened, we don't control the weather. We want to do what we can to affect our environment in a better way. But the warning, the data was there. And it wasn't used, it wasn't shared, people weren't there,
Right.
all those things. And that's the tragedy of all this, because the part that was preventable is early warning would have allowed people to get out sooner, and obstinance removed the obstinance of others, and people would have been able to get out sooner. The property would have still been destroyed, but the lives would not have been. And that's the part that's the heartbreaking part of this.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, it gets even more complicated, Richard. 2 days before, the Texas State Health Department had signed off on Camp Mystic's evacuation plan and everything they said. Now, you know, everything was supposed to be in place, you know, to have move these girls out if something like this happened. Now, they had a huge legislature that investigated this, and at the end, they pretty much nailed Camp Mystic to the wall and said, you know, it was your fault. You know, you didn't have the plan. You should have anticipated this. You waited 2 hours. But you know, it's not that simple.
No.
And people are running for cover. You have 27 girls who died. You're going to have a lot of finger pointing.
Mm-hmm.
And so you know, when you watch, and I watched all those hearings. I watched all those hearings in Austin and everything. And it's pretty bad. I mean, the Eastlands look really bad, but they got caught in their own tsunami. You know, between this sort of lack of information. Dick Eastland, he was the head of the camp, and he was the Captain Smith of the Titanic. He made the call. And so did Hubris plan? Absolutely. He thought he could save his girls. And in his defense, that's how he went down. Yeah. He went down trying, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that's the part where you do go, okay, he wasn't sitting in his office waiting for somebody to come and rescue them. He did try to do something. It ended up being a fatal decision. Right. So that part there, maybe the waiting, you know, is culpable in that aspect. But, you know, he didn't sit and he didn't just leave. I mean, so that's the part where, you know, our humanity tries to guide us into having some sympathy for when that takes place, because he lost his life as well. But at the end of the day, I think we owe it to each other to be mindful of preparation. We owe it to each other to push our leaders to not make decisions to cut in areas where it's going to have particularly when you got 3 big storms like this that have happened in the last almost, 90 years. Right. Let's be ready for that kind of stuff. William, how can folks get the book? How can they follow you? Let everybody know before we wrap up.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the book won't be out for a little while. It's going to be out next summer, so just you can get it anywhere. Just send it off, and obviously I'll be doing publicity and all that stuff once we get closer.
Absolutely. That sounds great. It's good to see you, man. I'm glad you're well. Thanks for taking the time to be with us, but also to bring the story to light and going down there and doing what you do so well, which is investigate some tough subjects. So appreciate you being with us this morning.
Oh, thanks for having me again, Richard.
All right. Good to see you. Talk to you soon, okay?
All right. Talk to you soon.
All right. Bye-bye. The number is 773-763-9278. I'm Richard Chu. Keep it locked in. We'll be right back with Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63, and of course, more of Chu's Views. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Tim Meadows. You've heard the phrase out with the old and in with the new, right? Well, buckle up because Stand Up to Cancer's vehicle donation program makes it easy to turn your old vehicle into new life-saving cancer research. More than 2 million Americans hear the words, "You have cancer," each year. That's why Stand Up to Cancer is dedicated to funding cancer research focused on finding cures. Donating is easy, pickup is free, and your gift may qualify for a tax deduction. Visit standuptocancer.org/cars to learn more.
You deserve more than yelling at your phone alone. I'm Patty Vasquez, comedian, policy nerd, and the friend who actually did the reading. On Driving It Home, we break down what's really going on, figure out what to do about it, and yeah, we laugh because what else are we gonna do? I've done the homework, and I'll let you cheat off my paper because here's the deal. They want you confused, exhausted, and too tired to care. We're not gonna do that. We're sharp, funny, and not backing down. That's the resist and persist energy.
Patty Vasquez, weeknights 5 to 7 on WCPT 820.
Hair Volume from New Nordic will make your hair look thick and healthy. Hair Volume is available online at Amazon and newnordicusa.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
AP News, I'm Marcela Sanchez. Progressive candidate Abdul El-Sayed and moderate Representative Haley Stevens are in a close race for Michigan's Democratic U.S. Senate nomination. El-Sayed maintained a lead as initial results rolled in last night, but Stevens gained ground as Wayne County reported more votes into the night. Both addressed supporters, saying the vote count could continue well into the day. An Associated Press investigation found the Trump administration has detained more than 50 parents and spouses of active duty U.S. troops. At least 6 have been deported. The immediate family members of U.S. troops have generally not been targets of immigration enforcement, but the AP found they're now routinely being detained for months while trying to adjust their legal status through policies available to the close relatives of service members, even as the military recruits by advertising these benefits. The Senate Judiciary Committee has sent Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche's confirmation bid for a floor vote. AP Washington correspondent Sagar Magani reports.
That comes after 2 GOP holdouts who'd threatened to block Blanche reached a deal for the Justice Department to confirm in writing that it would not move forward with a $1.8 billion fund for Trump allies who claimed political prosecutions.
It's been rescinded, and I am satisfied.
But top Senate Democrat Dick Durbin says Republican Tom Tillis should not be. The administration could easily revive the fund.
15 minutes after Mr. Blanche is confirmed as Attorney General.
The full Senate could vote this week on confirming Blanche, the president's former personal lawyer who has aggressively pushed the Trump agenda since taking over from Pam Bondi in April. Sagar Magani, Washington.
This is AP News. Toy Story 5 powered a strong quarter at Disney with a $1 billion box office haul.
Disney managed a solid showing in its third quarter, bolstered by movies such as
Came here as fast as they could.
Toy Story 5, and ongoing strength from its U.S. theme parks that made up for continued weakness from international tourism. Disney also announced a global short-form content sharing deal with TikTok. The agreement will bring Disney-focused fan-created content from TikTok to the Disney Plus app. Walt Disney Company cautioned earlier this year that its theme parks division would likely see modest growth, due in part to declining tourism from abroad. Disney earned $2.64 billion or $1.51 per share. It earned $5.26 billion or $2.92 per share a year ago. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
And I'm Marcela Sanchez.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Michael Caro. For today, we'll have mostly cloudy skies, along with a chance for some showers and storms developing, high temperatures into the lower 80s. Showers and storms then likely tonight, a low of 67. For Thursday, any lingering showers ending early on, gradually clearing skies into the afternoon with upper 70s for highs. Friday, partly sunny, working up to 83. And that's your latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 73.
Small businesses are the heart of America. Like you, these entrepreneurs started out with a dream and a drive to build a better life. If you have a small business idea to grow or challenge to face, you don't have to go it alone. Since 1964, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses. Today, they are the nation's largest nonprofit source of expert mentoring, resources, and education. Whether you're starting out, building back, or have worked at it for years, SCORE will match you with specialized mentors. Our thousands of volunteers provide the guidance and connections you need for free. Your success is waiting. SCORE is ready to help. Find a mentor today at score.org.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
He's not here to yell. He's here to inform and maybe stir the pot. This is Chew's Views with Richard Chew.
All right, guys, welcome back to the show. Thanks for tuning in and hanging out with us this morning. Make sure you are tuning in to Joan Esposito today, of course, live, local, and progressive, 2 to 5 here on WCPT. And then Patty Vasquez will be hanging out with you in the 5 to 7 o'clock segment, and her guest co-host Ken Mejia Beal will be talking with their guests. So make sure you're tuning in. Right now, you're tuning in to Richard Chew and Kurt Mullett. Good morning, Kurt. Welcome back to the show.
Hey, Richard. How are you doing today?
I'm doing
so good to see you, man.
You too, man. You too. You got that big smile on. What's going on? What's going on?
Oh, nothing. Just, it's I just enjoy, talking to you and spending the short time we get together.
It's always fun.
You go through the week, and man, you hit peaks, and then you go down in that valley, and it's just always. Well, it's always great to.
What I told you, my sister.
Conversation.
Yeah, I appreciate that, brother. My sister Linda has said for years, and I've said this on the show before. Pay attention to what you learn when you're in the valley, because you should be gathering information and data when you're in the valley. Mm-hmm. And the valley is where you should be open-minded to things that are around you. And it's really served me well. And it's when you're there that you learn a lot more than you think you can learn, because you're so focused on getting out of the valley. But what did you learn?
It's crazy, and we forget those things when we're in the valley.
Yeah, because we're focused on the pain of being there rather than
you're saying. Yeah.
So that story.
That's kind of crazy, because lately on my social media, what I've been doing is revisiting a lot of stories about Trump and who he is and some of the people surround him.
Yeah,
like Roy Cohn and some of the deals. That
I've seen some of the things you posted.
He was younger, and just to relate, the thing with Charlie Kushner. People forget the story on how that took place and how he blackmailed his own tried to blackmail his own sister to get out of a felony charge. And then this is who was our ambassador now in France. It's like, I mean, you couldn't write this in a book, man. People would go, "Are you?"
What's the phrase? They couldn't do it. Couldn't do it better in Hollywood, or whatever. However that phrase goes.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, man. I mean, check this out.
Who do we get to play that guy?
Yeah, I know. You and I would be. Let them cast you and me in something like that. That'd be hilarious. Listen, I got to come to something you just said though about Kushner and all the rest. Mm-hmm. What popped into my mind when you said that, Kurt, is history, and essentially what you did. I'm putting my words on it. Is you looked at history. You looked at what took place. Yeah. I'm a why guy. Why? When? Okay, so let me go back, because I need to. It's part of how I rudder myself. Is like, if I know when this went down, or how this went down, or why it went down. Yeah. It helps me better understand what I've got to do as I go forward. And it also allows me, God willing, to not make the same doggone mistake again. And if I do, how to shorten my time of getting out of it. And that's going back to my sister Linda's whole thing about the Valley. But you checked out history. You said, wait a minute, let me look back a little bit. And you're so good at that. And that's one of the things when I look at things that you post, that you do take some time and look at history and go, okay, there's a reason. There's some data. There's some breadcrumbs that help us get back to where this came from. And if we pay attention to them, we might learn something. And that learning might prevent us from making the same damn mistake again. Talk to us.
Well, I appreciate what you said, and you know, I've never been a research dude. You know, school to me was very difficult, not in the sense of learning. It was more boring to me than, you know.
I remember.
I've always believed the best education you could get is living a real life. And anyway, yeah, but looking back on some of the things that have happened in his past, like when he had a fake persona by the name of Barron, that he was, you know, people don't know that story. People should look it up.
John Barron.
You know, he had a fake persona at one time, promoting, you know, himself and you know, but Roy Cohn, you know, Roy taught him to attack, never say you're wrong, never give up, always put the pressure on. Always play offense, never worry about defense, and just, you know, never to stop doing that. And that's him to a T. I mean, that's who the guy is. And he's made an art of it.
Yeah,
so,
if there's an art of the deal with him.
People that don't know who Roy Cohn is, look him up and you'll see his affiliation with Joe
McCarthy and with Donald Trump.
Let people look it up themselves.
Sorry, but still look it up. We'll give you the key to the door, but you still got to walk in and do the work. So you know,
exactly.
But no, man, the thing that's compelling to me, and every now and again I'll have a moment where I'll just stop and go, and it's not out of a revelation or revelatory thinking. It's just I just pause and go, damn. How in the hell did we elect this? With all of our foibles and all of our imperfections as a country and all the dumb A stuff that we've done as a country, and yet we still rise as Maya Angelou, great writing talks about, yet I still rise, and still I rise, I should say. We've still risen as a country, but this dude is a perpetual parachute of us, you know, attached to us, trying to run down the road. And
absolutely, he's never been a good human being. Never.
No, I mean, never.
He's never been a smart human being.
No, he's just been a rabid dog. He's acted like a rabid dog, and we know how dangerous a rabid dog can be. So we
doesn't matter who he came in contact with in his life. So, and I think it's important that we remember that and try to understand warning signs after we get past this crazy of people like this.
Yeah.
To where we have laws in place to where
it's not just it's no longer decorum.
Felon, if you file bankruptcy, if you've cheated on your wives, I mean, I know we're getting really picky here, but I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Where do we draw the line? We have to have some kind of control over who is put in charge of our country, because this is just ridiculous. And instead of, I wanted to go to the past and look at the past in history and understand the problem, but I'm starting to shift more of trying to say, okay, what are we going to do as a solution going from here?
Yeah.
What are we going to do to make sure those things do not happen? And the demands as people, because we are the ones with the voice, what demands are we going to put on the politicians that we are going to elect here forward?
And the business. I want to add to this before. The business leaders that in many ways, Kurt, we've yielded a certain amount to, because they're the quote unquote captains of industry. Well, they've effed up some stuff on a major level. And so we need to hold them to a better standard. If they're a publicly traded company, we need to be in those we need to be in those shareholder meetings, get one share and be there and make some damn noise. Take 50 people with you, get a share in a company and go make some noise. Just like showing up at a congressional office or a legislator's office or a governor or mayor's office, we should be doing that too, because captains of industry have jacked up some stuff just as well. Sorry about that.
Mm-hmm. No. I love the interjection of what you just said, and you're absolutely right. The politicians, the business owners, we have to hold all of these people that, are responsible for all of this mess. But that's going to be a tough nut to crack. I mean, to get people like that. But I think what happened with Citibank recently, I think we need to open our eyes a little bit to it, and that if the corruption continues to have pressure on it, and we continue to talk about it, and more people are aware of it, because we still have to realize that we're in our social media world here, and where we talk and we live, but a lot of people don't live in that space.
Right. So
it's our job to talk to our friends and our neighbors when we have coffee or whatever, casual conversations. So, man, what do you think about that Citibank thing? Well, what do you mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then they go, wow.
Yeah.
300 companies.
Yeah.
I mean, who does that?
Yeah.
Who does that? I mean, it's nobody talks about too many of stories like that. We're focused on other things.
Yeah. And I think that's the beauty, if you will, or the opportunity to do research. Now, you said you're not a researcher, but I think in all of us in certain capacities, we do out of curiosity. Eric Grant uses this phrase a lot, and I absolutely love this phrase. I'm kind of borrowing it from him. We want to remain intellectually curious as much as we can be, because then that allows us to put ourselves in some uncomfortable situations and thought processes so that we can learn a few things or see some things from a slightly different perspective. I love that he uses that so often, intellectual curiosity. Yeah. So, Kurt,
and I didn't finish my statement because I got off track, which we do, but I never had been much of a researcher, but I am now. I enjoy it now, and I've learned from some people that I've come in contact with, especially a girl named Sierra Martin. She's really helped me in that space, and so I enjoy doing it now.
Yeah.
And
you have a lot of those aha moments, like, oh man, and because I know how you are when it comes to that, and your brain just probably goes poof.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick break.
Let's
take a quick break. We'll be right back. The number is 773-763-9278. I'm Richard Chew. Keep it locked in. We'll be right back with more of Chew's Views and Kurt Mullett.
WCPT replay.
I am thrilled to be joined by Tom Nichols, staff writer at The Atlantic.
Illiberalism is a global movement right now of people using the levers of democracy to vote for people who are going to take away their democracy. It's basically like saying, I'm an American and I have rights, and I'm going to vote for the guy that's going to take away my rights, because that will punish other people too. The illiberal movement is not the very poorest against the very richest. What you find with Trump voters, just as you did with illiberal voters in Italy and Poland and Turkey and other places, is that these are actually middle-class voters. Most of them are reasonably comfortable. You know, if you look at the January 6th rioters, these were not unemployed factory workers. These were chiropractors and retired cops and real estate agents.
Keep listening to WCPT 820, because facts matter.
Because facts matter. You're listening to WCPT 820.
All right, guys, welcome back to Chew's Views. If you were just tuning in, I'm Richard Chew, hanging out with our good friend Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63. So, Kurt, in this next bit of time that we have to hang out, let's. You heard me talking earlier in the show about. You probably heard me about talking about what's happening in Michigan, our neighboring state. Isn't that cool that we both can call it our neighboring state because of how we're laid out? That's kind of cool. Anyhow, nerd moment. Yeah. But listen, it looks like Dr. Syed is going to win the Democratic primary. And I talked about electability, better candidate versus electability. And the voters always speak. Either they speak one way or the other, or not at all. They don't show up in terms of not at all. They vote for one candidate or the other candidate. And in this case, it's been a tight race, highly influenced by outside money. We all know that. We know all the pieces of this roadmap. But I'm a better candidate person versus electability, because at the end of the day, the better candidate is the one that gets more stuff done. Electability, and they can be both. So, like I said earlier, we know that that person can be the electability candidate and the better candidate based on his or her ideas. But give us your thoughts about Michigan, what you see, and I know you've been paying a little bit of attention to it.
Well, I think it sends a message because, basically the entire Michigan establishment spoke out against him. $60 million were spent on, to fight his election here. I think it's to me, I think it's a historic win. I think it speaks volumes of when you have someone who gets outspent 10-1, has all of these cards stacked against him. It's still his message is what got through. And whether or not it is his message or it's just the fact that we want to hear a different message because we're really tired of the message we've been hearing for 20
right. It's not necessarily his message. It's the message.
The message. Right. So, I think that's what we have to pay attention to right now, and understand. And they're doing everything they can to destroy what's being built right now. They are, why are you paying attention to, they're paying attention to this, like they're revealing how afraid they are of the changes that could occur.
Yeah.
And are we saying right away, 100% it's going to be better or whatever? No, that's not what we're saying. Nobody knows. We want you to hear us, though. What you've been doing doesn't work for us anymore. We have to change things. It has to be about us. If you're going to stand there and tout in front of us, make America great again and America first, and you do the exact opposite of that, eventually that affects everyone.
And
so
this is not.
That's what I think we have.
This is not a slam on any of the other candidates that have run at all. No. Haley Stevens, solid U.S. representative. Mallory McMorrow, solid state senator. Good folk, good solid folks. I've talked to people who do actually know them. Don't pretend like they know. They actually know them, and they've said exactly that. Solid people, good people. And candidly, I've said this before, and I will say it many, many times in the future. I just want to win. If it's her, or him, I want to beat Mike Rogers. Bottom line, all the rest of the garbage is irrelevant to me, but not in a literal sense, but in terms of winning. So if Dr. Syed is the one that now is projected to be the winner, then let's get behind him. I hope that they do. I hope that Senator McMorrow and that Congresswoman Stevens do what Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett did in Texas. She didn't wait. And she got right out there and said, listen, we got to win this Senate seat. And she got right behind Tallarico. And a lot of people, that wasn't their pick. We know that. We talked about that when it happened. But she got right in line and said, we got to get him in office. I'm hoping that they do the same thing.
I believe Morrow did that. Morrow did that.
Morrow did. Okay, cool. I didn't catch that yet. Thank you.
I believe she did. Yeah.
So because then what happens is the question about electability becomes less of a question. It becomes more about the better ideas, because now, since the voters have spoken, the other percentage of voters should say, if I want change, if I really want change, then I've got to get behind our person and not play this game that I didn't get my guy or my gal, depending. No disrespect to anybody there. But I didn't get my person, but I got to get behind the idea. Like you said, I got to get behind the message, like you said. Not necessarily the person. They're carrying the message, but I want to get behind the message. That's what I'm hoping and praying that folks in Michigan do. If that's the case, then it's not going to be about Mike Rogers. It'll be about the ideas. It'll be about the message. Don't you think?
Yeah, and that's what voters should be listening to right now. That's what voters should be paying attention to. I know all of these things
because Mike Rogers isn't going to grow. He's not. Sorry, Kurt. I got to say this because I know you'll take. Mike Rogers may not necessarily grow his numbers. That's what I'm reading and hearing. But man, Dr. Saeed, if he's the winner, could get a whole bunch of additional voters that voted for Mallory and for Haley.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have a lot of confidence in him being able to win that election. So I just think he's a great guy, and he says, I hate using the term, he says the right things. He says the things that people need to hear, not want to hear. I mean, I think is happening right now, this is my opinion. I think we're going through a process where we are educating the people who are running for office for us. We are trying to change their way of thinking and show them that, look, we do control the vote here. And if you continue on the path that you were on, we will not put you back into office. We want a new idea. And again, is it going to work? Well, I don't know, but this is not working. We have to do something different. So listening to the message that the individual has and what they believe in, okay, for the American people, that we have to get away from corporate PACs and AIPAC. We have to. That's the only way we're going to attempt to dig ourselves out of the hole that we're in right now. Once we get past that thought process, then we can start making change. It's not going to happen in the 2026 cycle or the 2028 cycle. And I mean,
but we have to start
over time.
We have to start somewhere. If we don't start somewhere, then we'll just keep repeating the same and keep having the frustrations and have people fall away from voting and not participating on a national, on a state, on a local, regional and local level. That's what will happen. That'll be the end result of not working. The change is not necessarily easy, but it's revealing, and it reveals a lot of good stuff. Actually, it doesn't always reveal. It doesn't exclusively or solely reveal bad things because you have to make change. I think what it does is it's one of the most inspirational times in a person's life is when you recognize that you need to make change, and then you set a course toward making it. And when that happens, man, oh man, I mean, like Linda says, who's Linda, y'all? My sister Linda says, when you're in the valley, that's where the learning can take place. We've been in the valley. So the opportunities, to your point, Kurt, the voters are teaching the candidates, here's what we need. This is what we want. And so that's a great, I like the way you put that. I like the way you put that. Yeah. That's very, very on point.
I mean, thank you. I mean, I just feel like that's what's happening, and so along with that, we have to talk to each other, and we have to make sure we all understand. We have to have an open door. We have to be able to listen to people, but on the same note, we have to stand our ground.
Yeah,
we cannot at this point in time compromise on the things that we see need to change, because this has got completely out of control. Completely. The fact that we are putting people like Jay Clayton and Todd Blanche.
Come on, man. We ain't got enough time. Come on,
crazy.
Kurt. We ain't got enough time to talk about that today.
I know I'm throwing that in there, man.
You know I want to talk about it. You know I want to talk about it.
Maybe people will bring up some phone calls with you. So it's just crazy.
Well,
it's
listen. How about if we do this today?
So listen to a new message, people. Please listen to a new message.
Yeah.
This ain't working.
I made a mistake, so I'm going to clean it up right now. We do have enough time, because if you want to hang out for a little bit after this break, I want to, because that's on my notes about what to talk to you about today. So let's take a quick break, and when we come back, you and I are going to talk about this situation with Blanche and Clayton and Cornyn and Tillis and Murkowski and Collins. You want to do that for a little bit after the break?
Man, that just sounded like the worst law firm on earth. All those names you put together.
Oh,
man,
Lord.
That's scary.
Let's take a quick break, guys.
I'd love to.
The number is 773-763-9278. I'm Richard Chew. Keep it locked in. We'll be right back with more of Chew's Views. We'll be right back.
Hey Chicago, Joe Fontana here, founder of Fry the Coop. At Fry the Coop, we serve the best chicken sandwiches in the world. And no, that's not an opinion, that's a fact my taste buds personally signed off on. At Fry the Coop, we hand bread every single piece of chicken, double fry it in 100% beef tallow, and we hit it with our secret Fry the Coop spice rub like it owes us money. The result? A Fry the Coop sandwich so crunchy, juicy, spicy, sweet, salty, and savory, it feels illegal. Fry the Coop has a one-of-a-kind sandwich that makes your taste buds high-five each other. Don't like it? No problem. We guarantee happiness or your money back. But don't worry, you're not going to need it. We now have 10 Fry the Coop locations around the Chicagoland area. So no matter where you're at, there's a good chance there's a Fry the Coop 15 minutes away. And we're a local Chicago company, born and bred, for the people, by the people. So come down and support your local boys and get the best chicken sandwich in the world. Right here in Chicago, right here at Fry the Coop.
Small businesses are the heart of America. Like you, these entrepreneurs started out with a dream and a drive to build a better life. If you have a small business idea to grow or challenge to face, you don't have to go it alone. Since 1964, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses. Today, they are the nation's largest nonprofit source of expert mentoring, resources, and education. Whether you're starting out, building back, or have worked at it for years, SCORE will match you with specialized mentors. Our thousands of volunteers provide the guidance and connections you need for free. Your success is waiting. SCORE is ready to help. Find a mentor today at SCORE.org.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Michael Caro. For today, we'll have mostly cloudy skies, along with a chance for some showers and storms developing, high temperatures into the lower 80s. Showers and storms then likely tonight, a low of 67. For Thursday, any lingering showers ending early on, gradually clearing skies into the afternoon with upper 70s for highs. Friday, partly sunny, working up to 83. And that's your latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 73.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's Progressive Talk from TuneIn.
They have become so obsessed with the millions that the Bidens have made that they have ignored completely the billions of dollars that the Trump family is making. That is like being obsessed and using a magnifying glass to study the stain on the living room carpet when behind you is a mountain of excrement covering the living room couch and coffee table. This is so outrageous, the lack of proportionality going on my colleagues, it is laughable. This is absolutely insane that we have a president of the United States that has now made $2 billion doing what? Wow, he's such a shrewd businessman. Let me create my own crypto coin and have foreign nations invest in it. Oh, and by the way, if you are a corporation in America, put my children on the board and they'll get no bid contracts. This is the Judiciary Committee. We're supposed to be checking and balancing this nation. Why have people on both sides of the aisle given up on any trust in government? It's because we're surrendering any shred of integrity left. And now we're letting an attorney general become the highest law enforcement officer in the land and putting no holds whatsoever. I had hope for 2 weeks that we would get something. 2 weeks that we would have something substantive to stop the world's greatest presidential tax cheat from cheating. And we've done nothing. And this man is going to now sail to the floor, and history is going to show it.
That was Senator Cory Booker. And, you know, he catches some heat every now and again for not saying certain things the way that people want them to be said, sometimes being more moderate than people want him to be a little bit more hardcore. I get all that. But he couldn't have laid it out any more perfectly there. John Cornyn and Tom Tillis 2 weeks ago plus made us think that, and I said, I warned everybody, don't fall for the okie doke, or as Mike would say, the banana in the tailpipe. And people were like, oh, yeah, maybe they're going to save us. Maybe they're going to save us. Maybe they're going to save us. And then we throw into the mix the other part of this law firm, Murkowski and Collins, as Kurt so labeled them. And now we're hoping that they're going to use their concerns about women's rights in their respective states as the thing that will hold them from voting, not just going to the Senate floor. We have to stop hoping that these fools are going to save us and save our own damn selves when it comes to this. And like Senator Booker said, Todd Blanche, he's going to take the baton, because I almost cursed.
No, you know, protecting women's rights. You mean like the lady in Texas who took a birth control pill and her boyfriend called the cops on them, and they used 93 or 83,000 flock cameras to track her across 9 states and arrest her, and they're going to charge her for murder? You mean those kind of rights? I mean, these people are just, it's out of control, you know. And look, I'm not the biggest Cory Booker fan. He's disappointed me on many times, but I hope I see a lot more of the Cory Booker I just listened to in the future, and then maybe he could change my mind. You know, it's just like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Tucker Carlson and everything. Okay, yeah, they're saying some good things, but I you know, my brakes are, I got my foot pumping the brakes a lot more than I do on the accelerator with these people. So it takes time when somebody destroys your confidence or respect in them, especially with Green and
but you know, but here are the real culprits in this case.
This is crazy.
Here's the real culprits. Cornyn and Tillis made a deal with the devil. Let's just call it as it is. They made a deal with. I'm going to give Cory his love and his not love at the same time, because we can, and we want him. I'd rather have him on our side, knowing what he's really fighting for. Cornyn and Tillis tried to pull the okie doke. I warned people they were just doing this to provide some cover, to give Blanche time and the other White House attorneys time to figure out how to spin this, how to work in some language that they could then say we're satisfied with what we got. Because then Cornyn, when being interviewed by Michael Schnell from MS Now, said to her and other reporters, there's nothing we can do. We'll just have to let time go by, because there's nothing we can do. What the hell? They, you know, that's the Republican Party, y'all. We can be upset with Democrats for the right reason, to get them to do better. I'm down with that. But when this is that moment where the Republican Party, Kurt, they're the ones that are in control. They have the numbers. And 2 sitting senators, I could care less that they're going to be leaving at the end of the year. They still have a responsibility right now, and they showed their true colors, which I said was going to happen. They took the poison pill. They said, you know what? There's nothing we can do. What are we going to do? So then leave. Yeah. We don't need you. Yeah. We don't need. When a guy votes with Trump 99% of the time, you know how he's going to end up. That's what Cornyn did. Tillis is in the same camp. They need to go. We don't need any Republicans. You should never vote for a Republican ever again when a guy stands there in front of a camera and says there's nothing we can do. And that's going to lead to Todd Blanche doing what we've got in another clip that I want to play and get your thoughts on about the Dobbs decision. Y'all better pump your brakes on this one.
Yeah. Check. We should never allow any or vote for any politician that says those things.
Without a doubt. But the Republicans are the ones that are saying it right now.
Yes.
So let's hit them with this other clip, Kurt. You got to check this out.
Let me see if I got this straight. The Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade with the Dodd decision, and the rationalization was it states' rights. MS Now played a telephone conversation with Todd Blanche, who is on his way to permanent Attorney General status. And Blanche is saying on that recording, rest assured, we're working hand in hand with HHS and FDA, the White House, and President Trump's team to get permanent solutions so that the Dodd decision becomes permanent in every single state. There goes the women's right to choose throughout the country. If the Senate is in the hands of the Republican Party, you can be sure there's no right to choose for women anywhere in the country. That's what the tea leaves are saying.
That was David Glass. He's a retired reporter. He basically called it. It's not just, see, this is where Kurt says this oftentimes, and I do too. Pay attention to the things that they're not talking about as much as the things that they're talking about, because they're not talking about this one in terms of states' rights and how Blanche wants to be able to control what the states do when it comes to a woman's right to choose. They tried to head fake on this, and now it's going to come back and bite us in the behind. This is why folks like Cornyn and Tillis, Murkowski, and Collins, they have got to go, y'all. I mean, two of them are going. Tell me your thoughts, man.
Well, I actually heard the tape that they're speaking of when Blanche was speaking, and yeah, that's the thing that people need to, like you said, we talk about it all the time. We have to pay attention to everything that they're saying and everything that they're not saying, because there are so many things that they put out in front of people that is just completely. I mean, look, I get hungry at times, but I'll never sit down and eat a plate of that BS that they're feeding the American people time and time again. And people are, it's just, I'm jumping around, but just like the reflecting pool, they literally came out and said, hey, we messed up here. It's our fault. We're dropping the charges. And yet that fool sits there and says, yeah, they took a knife and cut it all the way down. I mean, it's so crazy, Richard. It's so bizarre. But this is the thing. States' rights, they present states' rights as something that's going to be positive for you. Mm-hmm. They don't tell you the evils that we face, like here in Indiana right now, where we supposedly have a surplus of money in our state, but we want to fine and imprison homeless people for sleeping on a bench where they're not supposed to be sleeping, or we want to strip away all of the Medicare and Medicaid benefits in this state, or health insurance. We want to remove money from helping the disabled in our state, in our country. That's just bizarre to me. And yet we have fool after fool stand there, and I'm going to get hate from this, saying, I will always stand with Israel. What about standing with us? Mm-hmm. We don't hate anyone. I don't hate Jews. I don't hate Israel. I hate what we have allowed this to become. The beast, like, your previous guest, the beast in Texas was a storm. Well, the beast in our government is Israel. That's how we have to look at this.
Let me clean that up for all of us. It's the Israeli government and their military. Because and the reason it's sad that we even have to do that which I just did, mm-hmm. because I know there are going to be people out there that are saying that you and I hate Israel. No, I made that really clear a few weeks ago. I hate what the government and the military are doing. I will stand 10 toes on that on City Hall steps at the Capitol building. I will say that open mic. I hate what the Israeli government and military are doing right now. No apologies. The Israeli people, no. So let's be clear. But the fact that we have to even do that is part of the problem. But we got to pre-clean up the statement around that. I love how Dr. Syed handled it recently. He was asked this question about, and he basically said, "What?" I'm paraphrasing. What is wrong with you guys? I never said that. I said what they're doing. I would feel the same way about any country that was doing that, and that we were giving them money to do that. How complicated is that for people to understand? So let's stand up for those moms who are having to figure out how. Let's stand up for those moms in central Indiana who are trying to figure out how they're going to get their children ready for school this year, what they're not going to be able to buy for their children that they're going to need to be able to not be teased by other kids because they don't have certain things that other kids have. Let's stand up for those folks. Let's make sure that those moms and those dads on the south side of the west side or any community have
and
those
I'll take
things.
that one step further. Let's think about the moms whose child used to go to a school because they had a program that the child could attend, and now that program is no longer available in that school, and they have no qualified individual there to deal with special needs kids.
Yeah.
That's gone. What do? You go try to find a private school to send your children at that has a program that will help your special needs kids? Or do you just go ahead and throw them to the wolves, to the public school system, because those people are, because we're bleeding money out of our government. I mean, while at the same time, data's coming out that this big, beautiful bill is going to add $30 trillion to the deficit over a 20-year or 30-year period. I mean, think about that.
It's
if
true.
people are worried about helping those that need our help, that's why we want a socialist government, because we want society to be the focus, not the capitalist anymore. It's not working.
And this is where, this is the thing that Dr. Syed is saying, and many others are saying, that capitalism isn't the problem. It's the way in which we've put capitalism ahead of everything else and not taking care of the people.
Yeah.
And that's a true reality that I think that this conversation right now, not yours and mine, but the more global conversation around where the party is landing that's why it's important. I get people that say that I shouldn't criticize Democrats. Well, I'm like, you know what? I criticize myself. So how do I square that box? I criticize myself because I want to be better. If you can't criticize the thing that you believe in and you want to get better, you're a fool. You're just a flat out fool. And you're living in some sort of, la-la land that you can't look at something and go, we need to do better here. And that's where I think we are. And what the struggle is that people think that what we're doing is it's our country's struggle. MAGA thinks that the country's perfect and there's no need to fix a damn thing. Yes, there is. You're living in the way in which you're living because you've determined that the others are the problem. Well, maybe if you looked in the mirror and said, maybe I should stop doing the same thing over and over again, like you said a moment ago, maybe I could link up with some other people and we can do some things a little bit better. So criticism of oneself.
Well, they're dangling in front of everybody that they're fixing the problems, or that there's nothing to fix, everything is cool and don't worry about it, states' rights and all this, while behind the scenes they're implementing their ideologies and their beliefs, because everything that is going on is based on religion. And I'll catch heat about that too. I'm not anti-religion. I'm not saying that. You have your freedom to do whatever you want. We all should. That's the problem. We all should. But everything is based on their religious beliefs.
Yeah. And that's falling apart. And that's
abortion.
That's falling apart now because they're realizing that, well, I'm going to say they're realizing it's being pointed out that that's been yet another fool's game. And so it's not working because the hypocrisy and the contradictions are rampant. Kurt, we blew through the break. I can't do that. 773-763-9278. I'm Richard Chew. Keep it locked in. We'll be right back with more Chew's Views.
Now at Lowe's, faster quotes start at the Lowe's Pro Desk. Got a material list handwritten on a sticky note or saved as a photo? Perfect. Bring it to us and get a quote in minutes. And if you don't see what you need on the shelf, we'll help you get it. You can access thousands of products beyond what's available in store or on Lowe's.com, right from the Lowe's Pro Desk. Build quotes faster and source the materials you need to keep your jobs moving. Just like that, at Lowe's.
You're the only voice of reason on the radio.
You give me hope.
Having listened to you every day.
Thank you for your clear insight.
Always felt a little bit smarter.
I listen to you every single day.
I keep coming back to this station, and thank you for what you do.
On WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk, where facts matter.
All right, guys, welcome back to the show. This is Choose Views if you're just tuning in. Let's grab a quick call. Let's go to Dan. Good morning, Dan. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. What's going on?
I just wanted to make a comment, too. Now, tell me how I knew this was going to happen back in the early 70s when I was pumping gas, working at factories, put myself through college, just like you did. The socialism has to be recognized as a helping hand instead of just a name and so forth. Yeah. Now, I can't understand why they can't get some appropriation or get some advocacy in the Senate from the IRS. Those are they're the ones that are charging us for our taxes. Those are the ones that should be charging other people for taxes to balance some kind of budget that Trump says he wants to balance, which is impossible with him taking all this money. That's my own comment. So you can go ahead and talk about it as much as you want to, and I'll let you go. Okay?
Thanks,
Thank you
Dan,
very
for the
much.
call. Thanks for the contribution.
You're welcome.
You know, what went through my mind, Kurt, when he was saying that is, social issues are around all of us. Nobody escapes that. Nobody escapes the reality that in an environment where we're all dealing with the humankind, as it were, the social issues are the things that actually make us. And then we can use tools like the IRS and other parts of the government to make it better. But I think at its core, I'm going to say this real quickly because then I want to wrap up with something a little special today. At its core, it comes down to a certain group of people that don't want the playing field to be level. That is, at the end of the day, why we keep getting caught up in this same, sort of Flintstone moving background, recycle the same old garbage. There's a group of people in this country that don't want the playing field to be level. It's not complicated. What are your thoughts, real quick?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to speak about what Dan said because I think he said a lot more there than what people probably heard. He was pumping gas in the 70s. That is a representation of how socialism and capitalism can be a very powerful thing, because we don't have people that pump our gas anymore because capitalism has taken over.
Yep.
And that's what you need to listen to what Dan just said, because he may not think he said much, but he said a lot right there.
He said a lot. I caught it too.
Thank for you, Dan.
Yeah. Well, I caught it too. You caught it. That right there, those changes, and how is it? This is where capitalism went sideways, rather than understanding that we can move things together. We merge those two powers. But again, I come back to the why. This is, my brain and my wiring in some ways. Why? How do we get here? What's at the real core of it? And the real core is there's a certain group of people in this country and frankly on the planet that don't want the playing field to be level because they aren't as superior as they've gotten everybody fooled into believing that they are. They're actually, in my mind, inferior. And they mask their inferiority with this push towards superiority. That's just, one of my observations. So listen, man, thank you for hanging out for a little bit longer today. This has been cool. I'm not letting you go just yet, but I want to make sure I recognize something that I didn't get a chance to yesterday. And that is the 65th birthday of Barack Obama, former President Barack Obama, turned 65. Let's remember the achievements that changed America, that Trump can't even compare to any of these achievements. Passed the Affordable Care Act, which expanded health care to millions of people and protected those with pre-existing conditions. Stepped up and led the country out of the Great Recession, creating a strong economic recovery and bringing unemployment down from 10% to below 5%. Found and killed Osama bin Laden. Saved the U.S. auto industry, which kept hundreds of thousands of jobs safe, had more than 70 straight months of job growth in the private sector, signed Dodd-Frank, which added better and necessary rules to the financial system after the 2008 crisis, negotiated the Paris Climate Agreement, started DACA, which helped protect hundreds of thousands of dreamers from being deported, ended Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy, allowing the LGBTQ Americans to serve openly in the military. Signed the Fair Sentencing Act. People forget about that one, which helped cut down on unfair differences in how people are sentenced for drug-related crimes. Handled the international effort to fight the 2014 to 2016 Ebola outbreak in a smart way. Nominated Supreme Court Justices Sonia Sotomayor and Elena Kagan, along with more than 300 federal judges. Created the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Set higher fuel efficiency standards for cars and trucks. Negotiated the JCPOA, which stopped Iran from getting nuclear weapons without starting a failed war. President Obama, your legacy will be remembered as one of the biggest in American history. Happy birthday, brother. Just wanted to put that out there today. Sorry I didn't get to talk about his birthday yesterday.
That was some research right there, brother. That was some research.
Well, I won't take credit for other than
very impressive list.
The internet and being able to hit the copy button. But yeah, you
still got to do the work, man. You still got to do.
We still got to do the work. Listen. To the extent that we can sing his praises and happy birthday to him, I wanted to not let that slip by more than one day.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say one thing real quick. Look, Iran doesn't need a nuclear weapon, and we've just proved that to them. Their nuclear weapon is sitting right there in a little stretch of water that they have realized now they can control things. I mean, this is the stupidity of this administration.
They've caused
because they
more
just
harm.
handed them. Yeah. Iran knows now how they can control and get what they want.
And here's what this also
they
did.
just have to shut down the Strait of Hormuz because we proved we can't open it.
Yep. Here's the other thing that it's done. The phrase "tipping your hand." This what Trump and his knuckleheads have also done is that they've tipped our hand in a way that a lot of people aren't really talking about enough in my mind. And that is that our military, there's a limitation to what our military should, can, and will do, because it requires ground troops to actually take down another country's leadership and change it. And Iran just showed you can't do that, and we can still hold you by the short hairs, as people like to say, when it comes to the economic prudency of what's going on. They've proven that other countries that may not be our allies, they got a peek behind the curtain. And that's the failure of this administration and this war that Trump has trumped up. That's just the truth, y'all. That's the other part.
Well, that's what happens when we put people in positions of department heads like Blanche and Clayton and Carter and Rollins and Hegsbreth and all of these, Vaught and this is what happens.
A rogues gallery of talk show hosts.
I mean, it's just
yeah.
We'll leave that alone.
You and I both know a bunch of people that are far left, far right, and in the middle of that. I mean, not far right, far left and moderate Democrats and everything in between that would do a hell of a lot better job. So our hope is that we can work our behinds off to get more of them elected in this next cycle, next two cycles, frankly, and in every election in between. So, Kurt, thanks for all the hard work you're doing. Thanks for hanging out with us a little bit longer this morning. It was
anytime.
A lot of fun, and we got to chop it up a little bit more today. So thank you for that.
That's great. I appreciate that. I love hanging out with you, and I appreciate the opportunity, man.
Always.
I value your friendship and what you've done for me. So
same goes back to you. Have a good rest of the day, good rest of the week, and we'll talk to you next Wednesday, okay?
Okay. Take care. We'll see you. Thanks a lot.
You got it, man. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up. Make sure you stay tuned for Joan Esposito this afternoon and her guests. Make sure you stay tuned and plug into Patty Vasquez and all of our evening shows. And most definitely stay tuned for the Stephanie Miller Show, which is following Choose Views. Take a deep breath and make your life count. We'll see you tomorrow.
Stephanie Miller here. I am shooting the proverbial poop with guess who? The tummy whisperer. Yep, Renee Barish of Digestive Health Solutions. Renee, there's lots of confusion about food and diet these days. What brings people to you, and how do you help them sort it out?
Great question. People come to me with a garden variety of digestive issues, including bloating, constipation, diarrhea, and heartburn. But the fun doesn't stop there. So many people bypass these symptoms and exhibit skin conditions, low energy, and poor sleep.
Okay, then what?
Well, I provide expert navigation with diet as well as sensitive testing for your digestion and microbiome. These tests provide clear data about what's happening in your body. And now with this info, I create a go-forward plan to help you feel better.
That's great. Thanks.
Thank you, Mama.
You can talk to Renee at 847-207-2034 or visit thetummywhisperer.com. That's 847-207-2034. Just ask for Renee. 847-207-2034.
For the ones who get it done, Grainger offers the professional-grade products you need, delivered when and where you need them. Call and click Grainger.com or just stop by.
AP News, I'm Marcela Sanchez. The Democratic primary for U.S. Senate in Michigan is still too early to call. Progressive Abdul El-Sayed and moderate U.S. Representative Haley Stevens are in a tight race for the state's Democratic U.S. Senate nomination. The House Ethics Committee says it's opened an investigation into domestic abuse allegations against Republican Representative Max Miller. Earlier in the day, Miller said he had requested his own investigation into the allegations made by his ex-wife, Emily Moreno. It wasn't clear whether his request or another one prompted the committee to investigate. The Ohio congressman is facing escalating pressure from his former father-in-law, Ohio Senator Bernie Moreno, and President Trump. Speaking with reporters, Senate Majority Leader John Thune was asked if he agreed with GOP colleague Moreno that Miller should not serve in Congress.
It's a very sad and unfortunate case. It is a family matter, and I don't have any observations beyond that.
Miller is facing a deadline to decide whether to stay in his race for re-election. Trump says a deal to reopen the Strait of Hormuz could come as early as today. This comes as Iran and Oman say they're inching toward a deal to reopen the disputed strait and potentially bring an end to the war. The AP's Charles de Ledesma has more.
The emerging agreement calls for ships to enter the Persian Gulf through an Iranian-controlled route and exit through a route controlled by Oman, two regional officials have told the AP. Meanwhile, the Iranian-backed Houthi rebels claimed on Wednesday they'd fired ballistic missiles toward a Saudi oil tanker called the Wafa in the Red Sea. A military spokesman for the Houthis saying the vessel was targeted in the northern Red Sea area off the Saudi port city of Yambu. There's been no immediate comment from Saudi Arabia. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
More stories at apnews.com. This is AP News.
AP Sports, I'm Lisa Dwyer. In his Los Angeles Dodgers debut, Tarek Skubal pitched 6 effective innings in a 5-1 loss to the Chicago Cubs. It was the first start for Skubal since he was acquired in a blockbuster trade with Detroit on Saturday night. The 2-time Cy Young Award winner says overall he was satisfied with his appearance, but
probably should be a little better at first pitch strikes, and I think especially second or third time through.
George Lombard Jr. homered in the 5th inning of his major league debut after being called up by the New York Yankees, making the 21-year-old the first Yankees shortstop to homer in his big league debut. And a new NFL season means lots of changes, and 2026 features 10 new head coaches now in charge. The Tennessee Titans are in that group, turning to Robert Saleh, hoping to end a 4-season skid. Lisa Dwyer, AP Sports.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Michael Caro. For today, we'll have mostly cloudy skies, along with a chance for some showers and storms developing, high temperatures into the lower 80s. Showers and storms then likely tonight, a low of 67. For Thursday, any lingering showers ending early on, gradually clearing skies into the afternoon with upper 70s for highs. Friday, partly sunny, working up to 83. And that's your latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 73.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
Latinos have been here always, before, during, and after the founding of the United States. We are small business owners rising before dawn to power the economy, hands that pick, manage, and prepare the food that nourishes America. Builders of our homes, our cities, our roads, our communities. Workers who labor daily to strengthen the very fabric of our nation. We are caregivers, teachers, doctors, engineers, neighbors, families raising the next generation. Latinos contribute over $4 trillion to America's GDP, bringing promise, innovation, and vitality to every corner of the U.S. We are the backbone, an indelible part of the American story. We are America. America is us. Learn more by going to americaisus.org and discover how Latinos have shaped America's journey and continue to forge its future.
This is a WCPT Veteran Minute. After working several odd jobs in New York City, Henry Johnson found his way into the National Guard during World War I. Johnson was assigned to the 369th Infantry Regiment, but the all-black unit was better known as the Harlem Hellfighters. The Hellfighters' first task was assisting the French Fourth Army. On May 15, 1918, Hellfighter Johnson noticed Germans attempting to break in. Johnson retreated to get backup from the French troops, noticing German soldiers were attempting to kidnap another Hellfighter. Despite standing at only 5'4", Johnson sprung into action. With only 3 bullets and a bolo knife, Johnson was able to kill 4 enemy soldiers and wounded 21 others, causing them to retreat, saving himself and his men. However, Johnson received a total of 21 injuries all over his body, including his left foot being shattered. Johnson was discharged, and his papers did not show his heroism or his injury, leaving him unable to receive any disability compensation, leaving Johnson penniless at the time of his death at age 36. Johnson's heroism went unnoticed for decades until President Barack Obama awarded him the Medal of Honor in 2015.
This is WCPT 820.